morning also from my side. Hello. My name is Rainer Schniedergers. I'm working for AutoZen. I'm the CTO there, and I'm here as kind of two persons. One, I'm the customer since, I think, 6 years now already. And so I would like to present our products. But as my second function, I'm here as a kind of president of the user group, so engaged in the user group since 5 years, I guess. And so I would like to talk a little bit of our experience about projects versus products. So what, in my opinion, or our opinion, is one reason why IoT is not scaling as you showed the hype curve yesterday. In 2018 we started, so we were on the top and we were really excited. And I mean, we sold a lot of numbers of devices, but still our expectations were higher. And so I would like to talk about why projects are working and what's the problem or what's the difficulties we are facing with products. Okay, so some words to AutoZen, some key facts. We are founded in 2011, and we were founded, or we have the mission to supply industrial sensors and their data as simple and easy and cost efficient as possible. So basically, we have an online store for industrial sensors. And we have now more than 20,000 satisfied customers, and these are our products. So industrial sensors, I always say the best sensors in the world, not only from AutoZen, but from these manufacturers doing industrial sensors. They are really robust. We're working there where it's dirty and heavy and high temperatures. And yeah, so we have a lot of different sensors, around 500. And what we are doing, we bring some B2C components that we all know from Amazon, if we buy something there, or some online shops, into the B2B world. Like, for example, we have everything on stock. So if you buy a sensor today, we will ship it out today, and you will receive it by tomorrow. And you get 5 years of warranty. You have a right to return it by 30 days and so on. So this is our business model where we started with 12 years ago. And since 2018, we have another mission or additional mission with a second business model. So we wanted to connect these industrial sensors directly to the cloud. And I was looking for a solution, and I couldn't find something. So we said, OK, then we are building something. And that was our mission, find the easiest way to display sensor data to the cloud. And we came up with this solution. We searched for a good partner doing the cloud application. We found Cumulocity. And we did a white label on the Cumulocity side. And we built up the IO key. It's a gateway. In a combination, you have a SIM card on board. And we are doing the IO link standard. That's an industrial sensor standard. And this, in a small housing, you can connect one of the industrial sensors, and it will directly pop up in the cloud. It's a plug-and-play system. So, and it's still the only system that is using IO link in a combined way as a master of IO link with a mobile gateway. And because IO link is used by mainly all the vendors, all the big vendors of the industrial standard and industrial sensors, we have more than 400 distributors now using this IO link technology. And so we have 25,000 different industrial sensors that we can connect to this device, and the sensor data will pop up immediately in the cloud. I can show you just a slide here, how it's looking. So we built a specialized cockpit. On the left side, you have all the gateways, the IO keys. And here you see the sensors, depending which sensor you're connecting. Not only AutoZen sensors, you can have a sensor from SICK, from Pepper Fuchs, from SMC, Ollie is here. And you will see the picture here because there is a small driver explaining the sensor. And we will automatically create also a dashboard, my next slide, for each sensor. You don't need to put in some numbers and scaling. That will be done automatically because we have all the meta information. There's a small driver explaining the sensor, and that's the value we are bringing to the market with IoT and especially with approach in combination with Cumulocity, where we build up all the system, and that's what I'm claiming with clean, readable sensor data, because also everybody's talking about AI, but also AI needs some meta information about the data. And if you, at the moment, you only have to type it in, because the sensors are 0 to 10 volts or 4 to 20 milliamps, and you don't know if this is a temperature value or a pressure value or a distance. And with this meta information, you get the values immediately with a plug-and-play approach, and nobody has to type in something. So if you do it in a common way, without IO-Link or IO-Key and IO-Link in a combination, if you want to connect one sensor to the cloud, it is costing a lot of money if you want to connect industrial sensors, because you need some systems in between. So the hardware price around about 1,000 to 2,000 euros. And more important, I think, in my opinion, is the time you need, because you need to involve 3 departments. Someone from IT, someone from OT, someone who's able to program everything, and this needs to be compatible, and the quality is always a custom solution. So with the IO-Key, especially in combination with Cumulocity here, we have something with a price point 5 times lower, 400 euro roundabout, including the sensor. And the time that it takes, it's just plug and play. I mean, you log into the cloud and wait and connect it. And the quality, of course, it's one vendor. Yeah, we are bringing data to the Cumulocity cloud, and we can also do that not only in our environment, we can bring the cockpit as an app to your enterprise tenants as well, especially if you're on the public cloud. That's very easy. And yeah, so the quality is you get everything from one hand, from one vendor. What we're also doing is white labeling. The IO-Key exists in different colors from different vendors. And this is something from SMC. Ollie is here from SMC if you have questions. So they are manufacturer also of some sensors and other technology in the automation space. But here they built up a specialized solution where they identify compressed air losses. So these sensors are coming from SMC, and the IO-Key is a white label. And because these sensors are also talking IO-Link, it's compatible, it's very, very easy, and they built up a specialized solution in the cloud, on their cloud, and now are selling this as a product. And air loss is a really huge problem. My colleague told me yesterday, he did some calculations, and I think in Germany, 2% of the whole energy consumption or energy production will be needed for air losses. 2% of the whole energy production. It's crazy. Pressure is really expensive. So if you want to solve that problem, Ollie, raise your hand. He's the man to go. The IO-Key also exists in the orange format, and the brand IFM is our mother company, and is also selling the IO-Key. IFM has also a lot of different IO-Link sensors. The guys, the salespeople really know what they are talking about, and so the IO-Key is helping them to do some cloud solutions, and IFM is also brand labeling Cumulocity here. That's another customer. I just want to show some examples. Who's doing OEE calculation. I mean, I like the pictures here. That's where our sensors are dirty and loud and rough. And but we are not only in the manufacturing processes, we also are in kind of different areas, because the IO-Key is a closed system. You don't need a PLC, and you get the possibility to install industrial sensors as well. This is a strawberry manufacturing. It's a glass house. And we are just taking humidity and temperature, and the customer needs it for his insurance. He needs to ensure that he's always always keeping the right temperature and right humidity, because otherwise, if something happening, he will lose his insurance. Okay, this was speed or a speed presentation of what I'm normally doing, and now I'm switching over to the new part, project versus products. So, as I mentioned before, in 2018 we started, and everybody was excited, and we said, at the beginning it was really great. So we had Deutsche Telekom as a customer, and everything was working and scaling up. And then we found out, okay, yeah, the numbers are not that big that we estimated. And so we found something out. So first of all, I would like to start with what is the goal of industrial IoT? Yeah. So we want, first of all, we want to have information and insights, and that turn into innovation, efficiency, and of course a competitive advantage. And how do we do that? How do we get that? It's by data. We want to have data. And what's the way? So there is a step approach. Yeah. So first we need to connect all the devices, then collect the data and store it, analyze it, and only then we can visualize and find patterns and report and solve. I think you showed something similar yesterday, also the steps, and I can't remember the name from Anacon, some colleague. He told yesterday that only by seeing what's happening, so visualize at this part, or analyze and visualize, you get a value there. But the difficult part here is the beginning, connected. Or if you have the data, yeah? So what's the problem? First, there is no data, so we still need to connect something, or the data exists in some silos, distributed over the whole company, in a mess, and you don't have timestamps, you don't have any meta information about the data. What I showed, or what I told before with the IO-Link, you get some information, but if you have just the sensor connected and there is 4 to 20 milliamps on port 2, no way to know what's there. In our OT process, if we're talking about industrial sensors, there's this automation pyramid. Yeah? So we have the sensors and the actors at the lowest level, then we have the field level where all the sensors and actors are connected and collected. Then we have the control level with our PLC and our HMI and the supervisory level. So this is only the lower part of the automation pyramid. On top of that, we have also the MES system and the ERP system. And if we are looking at the cycles, how long does it take for the information to flow between the levels? We have milliseconds in the lower level. So you want to ensure if a sensor detects something that your robot will stop and not crash into some other parts. And on the PLC level, we have seconds. On the SCADA level, kind of minutes and hours. At the MES, it's a manufacturing operating system where you collect the data, analyze it in the automation pyramid. And on the ERP system, most of the times, you are looking at days, weeks, how something is happening. So this is 1970, Industry 3.0. And this is working very well. But how do we get the data from level 0 or 1 up to the both levels? Projects. You can't do it another way. And always you have to pay. You have to pay system integrators or your own staff to get the data to the level above. And scaling may be a problem because you have one machine from vendor A, then you have another machine from vendor B. And yeah, so the systems are kind of different. So if you want to have data from the first level from vendor A, you need to do a project, and you need to do another project because the solution will look differently. If you want to have the same data, kind of same data from vendor B, from another machine. So a new kind of architecture is needed. That's Industry 4.0. We want to connect everything directly. We have a network there. I think you saw, everybody saw something like that before. But still, we need to integrate. I mean, there's something in the cloud coming on top. I recently saw a post at LinkedIn where one of the biggest system integrators in the US stated that I think 30% of the data is coming directly from the OT, is usable, 10% is coming from the IT, but 60% of the data needs to be converted between OT and IT, manually, somehow, from someone programmed to work with the systems. And new network, new challenge. We also in the clouds, we have layers. As Jürgen just said, the burger he talked about. We have the infrastructure, then we have the platforms like Cumulocity, ThingWords, Ignition running on Azure, AWS, the infrastructure, and on top of that, we have the applications. So it can be like a Parma analytics builder on top of Cumulocity, or you use Node-RED, or you build your own stuff like we did with the cockpit. And yeah, there are these layers. So we as a manufacturer of products, we don't want to do projects, but how do we provide these products that are scalable and working not only with one vendor, but with a whole infrastructure, platforms, applications? It's really a tough question. And what about plug and play? At the moment, it's only possible within project solutions. So if you want to have a really good experience, you need to do a project like we did, running on Cumulocity. Cumulocity is running on AWS for us. And then we are building on top of this the application with our cockpit or using Analytics Builder, something like that. But if you want to do some other stuff, you need to do a project again and connect everything and adjust to the platforms, to the applications and infrastructure you're running on. So what is missing for plug and play all over the systems? Standardization, yeah. I would really like to have one operating system where I can integrate to it. I mean, it's a wish, but yeah. And also a common language. I think this is something we can achieve earlier. What do I mean with that? First of all, the operating systems need to be open. I mean, just one solution from AWS is not enough, or Azure or Cumulocity. I think Cumulocity is doing a great job because they are open. You can execute them on Azure, on AWS, where you are not vendor locked in. But still, yeah, we need an open architecture. And what about OPC UA? The problem with OPC UA is it's really big, and that's a great architecture. And I think it's 10 years ago or 15 years ago where they started, and the idea was very well, but the execution is really hard for small devices. You can't run it on an embedded device, and yeah, so it's not that usable. They are now shifting a little bit with some updates in the standards, but still it's not flexible enough. And the other thing, even if you have, for example, a big robot where OPC-UA is implemented and another part where OPC-UA is also implemented, it's not necessarily interoperable. So it's not necessary that you connect it and they are able directly to talk to each other. Still need projects there. So what about MQTT? That's better for smaller devices, but we only have the transport layer. So that's just the way how data is transmission, but not the language itself. So it's just, yeah, how the things are communicating with each other, but they don't understand each other. So if I compare that with the early internet, I don't know who remembers, but there was TCP and HTTP. These are protocols, how the data is transmitted. And then someone invented HTML, and Netscape invented the first browser. And only then the internet of people evolved, because suddenly you were able to watch your pictures, to read something in a standardized way. And then the internet took off and scaled. So there's something missing. It's maybe Sparkplug-B. That's something I'm hearing all the time. Maybe it's becoming something from Cumulocity. I don't know. Yeah, so that's something we would like to see or evolve. And one other thing I would like to mention, because we also use it in a new device, and Nico talked about that yesterday. It's lightweight M2M. That's a new standard, and the cool thing here is that's defined how the data, the semantic is defined. And it's really great for really small things that have not big bandwidth. Yeah, so what's the conclusion? For us, if we want to sell products, we need to solve projects. That's what we are doing now. If we have an interested customer, we are really going in end to end and solving all the problems. Sometimes we bring in a system integrator or some IoT natives who are able to do the application side. We educate, we bring everything together and solve it end to end. And the cool thing, we can do that because we have the sensor, we have the gateway, we have the cloud, the analytics on top, and our ecosystem to build everything up. And of course, our products need to be flexible and integratable. Yeah, and we need the right customers, because we also realized if the customer is not mature enough and can take over the solution. I mean, we are a product company, and even if we build something, we need to hand over, and because we can't maintain all the solutions. What we are also providing now outside of Cumulocity, because it's sad, but not everybody is using Cumulocity. And we had some customers who wanted to have the IoT. So we built up a Docker container that you can deploy directly on AWS or Cumulocity, or Azure or somewhere else on your systems. And the IoT is sending the data directly to the Docker container. Of course, you don't have this nice cockpit, the pop-up, the plug and play, but still you can integrate that. So what's the conclusion for the customer? Also, the products that you pick needs to be flexible or needs to be perfectly fitting to your ecosystem that you're running. And you need to have IoT experts or system integrators to do your projects. So educate the people you are employing, or work with really great system integrator, or do both, that you learn from the system integrator, the IoT natives, but take over the responsibility then. Yeah, that was it. Thank you very much. Any questions?
How do you think about the CAN protocol devices and gateway?
The CAN protocol? Yeah, we don't use it, so I'm not that expert in the CAN protocol. Sorry, I can't say anything about that. Yeah, sorry.
I mean, because we are working on lightweight M2M since some time already.
Yeah.
Do you see any adoption of lightweight M2M in the industry? I mean, beyond, obviously, you are using it. Yeah. But do you see it somewhere else used?
So we are working very closely with some telecommunication partners there, and I mean, they are using it very widely. I think, I don't know, I think that this is kind of a standard for their backdoor. So if they want to get to the modules of the module manufacturer, like Telit or Qualcomm, or I think there is a standard in the background that the big vendors like Verizon, Deutsche Telekom, Vodafone, they can get access to the modules directly via lightweight M2M. That's something I saw. But in the industry, in our industry, not. I don't think so. I can't remember anything that is using lightweight M2M. But we decided, especially because we realized that we want to have a standard, and it's always hard to integrate, and therefore we are hoping that, or we are counting that the cloud providers and the platform providers using lightweight M2M. And I mean, you started with that, and so we can directly integrate and use your server. That's perfect for us. Yeah.
Any final questions? In that case, ladies and gentlemen, the president of your IUG.
Thank you.